Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your kind introduction, Professor Koh, and thank you for inviting me to this Tembusu Forum. I'm very honored to be here and then talk to about this timely and thought-provoking topic. Before starting my presentation, I would like to tell that this presentation is my own, and it does not reflect anything. This is kind of like the not official, but like I just would like to kind of emphasize because some of what I'm going to say might be kind of controversial. So let's start. So in this forum, I was asked a big question: will there another war between Japan and China? My simple answer is highly unlikely. I do not think either Japan or China wants a war or has a political will to do so. And however, as we all know, political tensions between Japan and China remains high. And my concerns are that there have been increasing risks between Japan and China and might lead some skirmishes in the East China Sea. Generally, the conflicts would occur unexpectedly, because small conflicts or skirmishes escalate into the larger conflicts through unexpected chain of reactions. And to reduce this risk, I believe that to keep opening the channels of communication is imperative, and which is unfortunately not the case between Japan and China currently. To do so requires the understanding of the current Sino-Japanese relations, and today I would like to discuss about it. To understand why the Sino-Japanese relations become so exacerbated, I would like to point out three important factors. First one is misperception or miscalculation. I think there is an increasing misperception and miscalculation between Japan and China. The most crucial one occurred in 2012, when the Japanese government, led by the Democratic Party of Japan, nationalized the Senkaku-Diaoyu Islands. I believe this occurs under the most crucial misunderstanding and miscalculation between the two. And it triggered the intensification of the disputes and creates a political downward spiral to the game of chicken. So what did the Japanese government do? The event was triggered in April 2012 when Tokyo Governor Shintaro Ishihara declared his intention to purchase some of the islands in Senkaku from the private owner. In Japan, the Senkaku Island had been privately owned after Japan incorporated the islands in 1895, and so soon freely loaned to the private citizen in Japan named Tatsuhiro Koga, not my grandfather. The then Tokyo governor Ishihara, known as a vocal nationalist, aimed on consolidating Japanese possession of the Senkaku Islands, and to that end, he argued that after Tokyo acquired the islands, he would build some facilities, including the port facilities. This declaration put the Japanese government kind of into a political dilemma. If the government had let Tokyo buy the islands, Ishihara would likely have established facilities there and creating long-term antagonism between Japan and China. To prevent it, nationalization would be an option for the Japanese government. But to do so also would send negative diplomatic signals to China and create political tensions between them. So balancing out these calculations, the Japanese government ultimately decided nationalization as the only feasible option, even if inevitably creating some diplomatic frictions. At least the Japanese side would not create facilities in the islands and not further provoke China. In other words, the issue could be contained as the domestic matter, just a matter of transferring the ownership within Japan. According to some Japanese media reports, the Japanese side informed China of this nationalization process through several communication channels before Japan declared the intention. this decision. Therefore, Japan thought this ensured China's tacit understanding. The government thought, okay, so China would surely protest Japan's nationalization, but it would not go further than that, and not increasing the tension between us. But this turned out to be wrong. The process triggered China's strong reaction at both the government and public level, which gave China a justification to pursue a more hardline policy in the East China Sea. The extension of this effect was China's diplomatic shutdown and continuous dispatch of the patrol ship near the East China Sea, as well as China's announcement of the East China Sea ADIZ, Air Defense Identification Zone, in November 2013. Indeed, the number of the bilateral diplomatic interactions and the defense diplomacy significantly dropped. For example, according to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs website, the senior level, the interaction decreased from 29 in 2012 to the only 6 in 2013. In addition, Japan and China reached the basic agreement on the establishment of a maritime contact mechanism in June 2012, which was bilateral crisis management mechanism, but it has been stalled since Japan's nationalization. So to prevent repeating these misperception and misunderstanding, creating the communication channels between the two is vital. And without strong communication links, the risk of the furthering misperception and miscalculation creates downward spiral of the trust breaking. Second one is relating to the first one and the image of the Japan's domestic political trend. I would like to make it kind of clear that domestically there are still controversies over Abe's political agenda, such as the constitutional amendment and also his visit to the Yasukuni Shrine. When you read the international newspaper or like op-eds, seemingly Japan as a whole is kind of tilting toward the right. But this is not the true. Actually, the current Abe's popularity is less dependent on his performance on his economic policy. So currently, the public is more concerned about economic policy and very much favors what Abe was doing right now. Abe prioritized his economic policy under the name of the so-called Abenomics, and that aimed at revitalizing Japan's economy, first stimulating the economy by relaxing its monetary policy and increasing public works. And once economy gained the traction, it conducts the economic restructuring. There are still questions about whether Abenomics can improve Japan's economic structure, but the point here is that it has actually created a huge stimulus in Japan's economy. If you take a look at the Nikkei stock average in December 2012 to the December 2013, the number increased over 1.5 times, from 10,395 yen to the 16,291 yen. This was the huge leap, and the Japanese public would like to support this trend. Interestingly, the movement of Nikkei stock average and the public support for the Abe administration were somewhat closely related. If you take a look at this graph, then you could see the kind of fluctuation seems to be similar. Of course, this is just correlation and not causation. I have not found clear and strong evidence on the causal mechanism between stock exchange rate and political support here. But also, the political concern played a role in public support for the Abe administration, as illustrated by the huge drop of public support in November, despite that a good economic trend continued. From the late November, there arose public concern regarding Abe's push for passing the domestic law, the